Greetings, Aries and Aries rising. This is your Western forecast for August 2024. Expect the unexpected. It's going to be a lot of adjustments. You may have your relationships, your job may be tested. You might be a lot of restlessness with your finances. Why? And this is for everybody. Then I'll zero in for Aries. But decision-making, communication, Mercury, that planet of expectations, will be retrograde August the 4th through August the 28th. And expansive Jupiter is going to be about every 3 years squaring or in tension with Saturn. Saturn is the structure. Jupiter wants expansiveness, but there's a tension. There's a conflict. Often this Jupiter-Saturn can represent job changes, maybe even moving, structural changes because of the Saturn, a lot of restlessness with monies. So before I start breaking this down and how it applies for Aries, if you enjoy these kinds of videos and would like to see more of them, click like and subscribe, and don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can receive the latest postings. And if you go into the description box underneath the video, you'll find a direct link to book an astrology reading or to check out my 2-question offer. Now, I always like to start with, where is the sun shining? Because where the sun shines in your chart and it changes signs once a month, it is putting a spotlight on what are your priorities, what is your intention. And during that sun in Leo, from the end of July till August the 21st, I'm also looking for when is the new moon, because that sun in Leo is this kind of generalized focus on 5th house matters, because Leo is 5 signs past Aries. Back to that in a moment. But then I wanted to look at, well, when's the new moon in Leo? The new moon is when we set our intention. Here's our focus for the next 4 weeks. And the new moon in Leo is on August the 4th. What's interesting with that is decision-making Mercury is retrogrades on August the 4th. So this new moon is going to be very much impacted by Mercury in retrograde. Lots of re-evaluating, maybe delays with travel plans. Let's go there for a moment. The new moon in the 5th, because Leo is 5 signs past Aries. The 5th is the house of pleasure and vacations and romance, a lot of recreational activities. It's a very enjoyable area of the chart. Deals with children and romance. This new moon is going to be in harmony, a sextile, from Jupiter. Jupiter is all this opportunity and expansiveness, optimism. Jupiter is about education, publishing, and traveling. Now, with Mercury, which also has a lot to do with traveling, when it goes retrograde, your travel plans may need to be altered. And Mars is going into Gemini once every 2 years in your 3rd house of more short distance traveling on July the 20th till September the 4th. Mars is all that motivation and restlessness and drive. But this Mars is going to be expanded by Jupiter, because Jupiter is in Gemini once every 2 years, every 12 years, and Jupiter went into Gemini at the end of May 2025 till end of May 2024 till May of 2025. So it's there for a year. So this Mars-Jupiter alignment brings a lot of expansiveness and drive to third house matters. The third house is learning and selling, and we'll break all that down. But the third house also deals more with overnight traveling, weekend traveling, short trips. The new moon is focused for the month on the fifth house of pleasure and aspected by Jupiter, which has a lot to do with long distance traveling. But that very favorable, ambitious Mars with expansive Jupiter, both in Gemini, in your third house of communications and learning and traveling, but it's being held back or delayed by Saturn. Jupiter squares Saturn, it's that 90-degree angle, about every 3 years. And it's going to peak on August the 19th. And you could be feeling it strong throughout the month, but especially the week before and the week after. Now, what's important here is on the 19th is the full moon. Full moon is always 2 weeks after the new moon. The new moon is what you're planting seeds for, expectations. And then the full moon, you get to see what's working out and what's not. This full moon on the 19th is on the day of the Jupiter-Saturn square, where it's exact on the 19th. So the full moon brings a lot of matters to a head, to light. The Jupiter-Saturn could be there's a lot of adjustments and frustrations. The full moon is in a hard angle to unexpected rebellious Uranus, and it falls in your 11th house. The 11th house is group activities and friendships, but I think this 11th house, we might be really focusing on your goals, your long-range goals and aspirations of the 11th house. And with the full moon, there might be some unexpected upsets or changes because we're in Mercury in retrograde and because the Jupiter is squaring Saturn. There might be a job change. Then the Mars-Jupiter in the third, that third is meetings and interviews. So you might have to make all these adjustments looking for a new job, a new project. But there's positive energies here because Mercury is going to go retrograde August the 4th in Virgo in your 6th house. That could be dealing with work matters or with dealing with employees. And it's only going to be in Virgo until the 14th, when it then retrogrades back into the 5th, and then that could be where there might be a lot of readjustments with vacations and so forth. But the Mercury is going to start off retrograding, testing, reevaluating your job situation. But Venus, pleasurable, benefic Venus, is a 1-year cycle. And on August the 4th, when Mercury goes retrograde, when the new moon is exact on August the 4th, Venus goes into Virgo on August the 4th through August the 29th. So there could certainly be some unexpected changes at your jobs. You may have to be looking for a new job, but that Venus is going to bring you opportunities to find a better job. And then back to the Mars-Jupiter in the 3rd house, that could be really focusing on signing up for classes, getting your schedule, your school schedule, because we're in August going into September, when a lot of people who are attending school, and the new moon on August the 4th is excellent with Jupiter. Jupiter is bringing a lot of promise and opportunity, but Jupiter, as well as traveling, deals with education And that Mars-Jupiter could be a real push with the traveling, but a major push with going back to school, setting up the classes. With the Saturn, you may have to make some adjustments. There may be have to rethink your schedule. And there might even be a job change with that Jupiter-Saturn peaking around the 19th. But then the Mars-Jupiter in the 3rd, which is really good for selling yourself at job interviews, but also just being really good at sales. Because of the Saturn, you may have to put in more effort. It may be taking longer. And with Mercury in retrograde, that's all this having to rethink and reevaluate. But that's why I'm mentioning that this month, there's a lot of very good things for Aries and Aries rising with that new moon in Leo in your 5th. And with the Jupiter, that's the traveling to the new moon. The Mars-Jupiter, Jupiter is that traveling planet in the 3rd house of short distance traveling. You may have to be very quick on your feet and flexible and adaptable, because I do think there's going to be a lot of unexpected changes. And it could very well be happening around the full moon on the 19th. Now, when it comes to relationships and love, Venus, that planet of desire and romance, it's in your 6th house of work. Well, you might make a new friend at the job. The working conditions may be more pleasurable, but it does give some benefic energies as Mercury retrograding starting in the 6th is reevaluating your job situation. The Venus is bringing in this harmonious energies. So could just be that your job, you don't have to lose your job. There could be that there's adjustments going on with your job duties. Then certainly there might be some having to make travel plans adjustments. There might be delays in those areas because of this Jupiter-Saturn, because of the Mercury in retrograde. The Mercury will retrograde back into Leo, joining into the 5th, joining the Sun for about a week. And then Mercury will remain in Leo after it goes direct on the 28th until September the 8th. So the Mercury, what is on your mind? What are you thinking about? What are you planning about with the 5th house? It's all this pleasure. So you may have to make a lot of readjustments with vacation plans, with recreational plans. But with that Mercury, as it goes direct on the 28th, and it's in that 5th house, also Venus will leave Virgo in your 6th house on the 29th. So yes, it's only the last couple of days of August, but then Venus moves into the 7th house of relationships. And with the new moon in the 5th is the house of romance. So there's going to be a lot of enjoyment and pleasure. It's just there's these adjustments you have to pay attention to. And even though there's all this readjustments, which could be impacting your job duties, that Venus in the 6th house of work is bringing a lot of harmony, a lot of pleasure. So I want to thank you for watching. If you'd like information on how to book an astrology reading or check out my 2-question offer, visit my website at gardino.co, that's .co. Until next month, be safe and well.